Hello there, I'm James.
And I am Emme.
And welcome back to The Bestiary, Monster Manual A through Z. And you have caught us at the halfway point of our deep dive into...
Demons Part 3!
Yes. Join us as we plumb even further and greater depths of the abyss. And we previously discussed that between the different types of demons, you get significant jumps in power, ability, challenge, and the guys we're talking about today, no joke. We are kicking off with the Glabrezu, however you say that.
Febreze.
As often we do, we'll kick off with the artwork. Emme, you've always said how you're a real fan of this one.
I've always really enjoyed this art. I remember when I first got this Monster Manual for 5e, this is one of the ones that I initially saw. There's just something so charismatic about this bizarre mishmash of stuff. This is so many bits thrown into so many other bits. He's got kind of a weird demonic wolf head with lobster pinchers, bird feet, and human hands.
Yeah, it's a real throw together. It still looks terrifying though. It's interesting in a cool way, but also kind of scary.
Without a doubt, this guy really personifies the chaos that is the abyss. Everything about him is thrown together, but in an elegant way that somehow works, because we've reached the point of demon power where this guy starts to actually get to be really scary, and it really shows he's very powerful. He can see it, he's looking, he's focused, he's aware.
Yeah, and stat-wise, pretty impressive. High everything.
Yeah, he's got, nothing below 15, one above 20. He's beefy.
Yeah, and actually is at the point where demons are starting to come into their own in terms of power, that they start to have ambitions and goals and ways of accomplishing those goals all their own. They start to have distinct personalities.
Yes, at this point, this is starting to be an individual person who has got things to do that might not necessarily just be battle related. He's got politics, and he might want something of you even on the material plane. These guys exist to tempt the weak-minded and the weak-willed, often with power and wealth. And this guy looks rich. He wants you to feel it. He's really got something that he wants to do. So this is something that you're probably going to experience from a role-play perspective very heavily as well, not just a combat one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even though they are pretty intimidating in combat, intelligence-based caster, multi-attacks with fists, pinchers, magic resistance, AC of 17, 157 hit points, pretty nasty in combat. But they're smart and skilled and deceptive enough that that's not where their focus is. They hoard wealth and material goods to, as you say, lay traps and temptations for short-sighted summoners or weak-willed people, because what they really want is to not just conquer you through force of arms or ferocity, but to lay the groundwork and the framework for your own destruction and give you enough rope to hang yourself with.
Yeah, these guys have reached a point where they've killed enough people. It's they know battle, they've been in it, and they can do it, and they still will. But they definitely have other motives to continue to grow and continue to become more powerful.
Yeah, and this is where I think, this is a trend not just for the Glabrezu, but for other demons of this kind of type and higher as well, where they're not just disgusting and gross and focus on destruction and chaos. They start to get just that bit more interesting in terms of, if you are a warlock and you've got a Pact of the Fiend going on, it might be with this kind of thing rather than say a Dretch.
Yes, this is definitely the point where we're starting to reach powerful things that are going to have interferences on the material plane as well, especially with warlocks and things. And speaking of interesting things that definitely have ties to the material plane, let's talk about the Yochlol.
Ah, yes, the Yochlol, one of which I actually have with me here. Look at this little fella.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, she's nasty.
A little bit. And she is the operative term, because these are exclusively as opposed to other demons that will be kind of associated with various demon lords to one degree or another, the Yochlols are exclusively the handmaidens of the demon lord Lolth, the Spider Queen.
In things and more words in the back of your mouth as we hit the branch of Lolth here. The Yochlol exists purely to serve her will, and oftentimes on the material plane, helping out Drow in her temples and serving her will. They are shape changers, so more often than not, when you meet one of these things, it's not going to be in its true form. It might look like a giant spider, or it might actually look like a female Drow.
Yeah. And speaking of RP potential, when we were discussing the Glabrezu, like for a kind of low to mid-level campaign, these guys, or gals I should say, because to my knowledge they're exclusively female, despite gender not really having been a thing with other demons, they, imagine the reveal of like actually this like drow matron that you've been sort of trying to outwit and best at different points actually turns out to be one of these in their hidden form. Kind of one of the first examples of an infiltration demon that we've seen.
Yes, it's definitely there it can be a spy. It can absolutely be there to work Lolth's will into other things. And I can only imagine that reveal when that drow explodes kind of into this tentacly thing. I mean, look at this guy. She's drippy. She's got vines coming out of her. She's got this one piercing eye that's staring at you. It really feels out of control, but also like it's growing out. It's just, there's so much going on with this art here.
And I think it really well shows what it says in terms of the true form of the Yochlol is just this pillar of slime. Like, you can see that this thing is amorphous. It is, it does have that shape-changing quality because it's dripping. Itself is dripping off of it.
That's my favorite sentence formation possibly of all time, James. But looking at it, it feels very much like a perversion of nature, which is oftentimes what we're going to see with a lot of drow themes, that Lolth was removed because of her perversion to this natural order of elf kind. So there's almost, these look like vines. It almost kind of looks like a tree, but it's dripping and falling apart. And that really ties into the mythology as well. And again, the sky is going to have its own ambitions. It's going to have directives. There's very likely to have a thing that it is called individually, just not Yochlol number 6. It's there for a reason, and if you see one of these, it is a portent of something worse.
Yeah, and in terms of its intelligence, wisdom, charisma, high enough scores for it to have its own distinct personality, for it to have its, within what it's been tasked to do by Lolth, its own way of going about doing those things, its own preferences. The mist form ability is something I find really interesting here.
Yes, that it can, if it doesn't revert necessarily to its true form, it can become this toxic mist. Again, going with that sense of that the abyss is poisonous. These things are oftentimes immune to poison, but they give poison out. This is just another moment of that, of it seeping into something and seeping into the cracks, and it's poisonous as it does it. Yeah,
the idea that, the abyss poisons and corrupts everything that it touches over time.
And we've got another grab bag spellcasting mod. This guy is a spellcaster.
This one's charisma, because why not?
Yeah, may as well just keep going. We've got Detect Thoughts, Web, Dominate Person. All very Lolth-themed spells.
Yeah, especially Dominate Person, even though that's only one a day, like that, just one effective use of that can throw such a wrench in any party's plans.
Oh, yeah.
It really fits well with that kind of manipulating events from behind the scenes kind of feel that you get with most things associated with Lolth and the Drow. Speaking of the corruption and perversion of things, the next on our list, I think, is a good example of that.
The Nalfeshnee.
The Nalfeshnee, and as fun a name that is to pronounce, They are not particularly fun themselves.
It's definitely not fun to look at. He's corpulent.
Corpulent, fun word to say, not necessarily to be associated with.
No, he's everything about him. Again, there's that sense of gravity sinking down with him that I see in a lot of the Abyss monsters, where everything is just starting to fall into the ground. It says here in the mythology that they're very fond of food, that they like to eat people, and so that shows. He's got this gluttonous feeling to him. Again, this one's going to be at the point where this is a specific person, so you can see there's intelligence and personality drawn in here on the face. He's clearly giving an order here, which really, again, leads into what these guys do. He's got piercings and decorations. He's got scars on him from something, which is just weird and awful.
Do you think he's got enough horns?
Oh, clearly not. Let's just grow and collect a few more. Goodness gracious, they're coming at it everywhere. The wings crack me up, though.
Yeah, I mean, it has a fly speed, but it's only 30, and I think that's probably because of... I mean, you don't envision this guy soaring, do you? It's going to be more of like a slow flutter.
He's just slow in general. His speed is 20 and his fly speed is 30. As far as fly speeds go, that's actually not terribly fast. You'll usually see fly speeds faster than 30 or general walk speed. And so he's just not going anywhere quick. However, he doesn't really need to. That's not really what he does. These guys are generally generals. They're usually flying up above and giving direction telepathically to lower demons below. So speed, needing to move fast, needing to get anywhere.
Not the priority.
No, that's definitely not his MO. This guy really wants to be there to control and gather. And I know, going back to what we were talking about in earlier episodes about the Dretch, that they are self-loathing. They're aware that they're terrible. The Nalfeshnee is the exact opposite. They think they're awesome.
Oh, they think they are,
Straight to these knees.
It's like, I'm the overseer. I've earned this position. I've crawled my way up through the muck to this. And so when I am like eating my captured humanoids in my gluttonous way, I'm going to do it with some fancy cutlery. Or at least what I think is fancy cutlery.
Apparently, I know in the description, they also think it's fancy cutlery, but oftentimes it's rusted and decayed because everything in the Abyss, it's one of the flavor notes, is that everything demons touch tends to rot, and when they die on the material plane, their bodies turn to ichor. So they can't really keep a nice thing, but to them, in their mind, it's still fancy and nice, and that's all that matters. In their mind, that's what's important.
Yeah, I like that these creatures are kind of like the condensation of the arrogance and the avarice and just the sheer bloody mindedness of things that you might associate with like demon kind. Like every entry in the manual has its own particular flavor, and at this point especially we're getting to like personality. And I mean, come on, they eat people with what they think are fancy knives and forks. What more do you need to say?
It sums it straight up. Thank you so much for joining us today on The Bestiary. What exactly do you think a Nalfeshnee smells like? Tell us in the comments down below. I would really love to be grossed out by you. And while you're there, please give this video a like and tap that bell icon. It'll let you know when we upload more videos. You can give us a subscribe. We really do love to see your faces. And we can watch some more videos here. And join us next time when we continue our trek through the Abyss with the rest of the demons.